The Buffalo Bills are running out of excuses. A team built around one of the most talented quarterbacks in NFL history, Josh Allen, continues to stumble because the front office refuses to give him what he truly needs: help. General Manager Brandon Beane once promised to keep Allen surrounded by playmakers, but the 2025 trade deadline came and went without a single major addition on offense. No elite receiver. No reliable game changer. And the result? A 30-13 humiliation at the hands of the Miami Dolphins that sent shockwaves through Buffalo. If you only caught the highlights, you might think it wasn't all bad. Khalil Shakir had 7 catches, nearly 60 yards. Rookie Keon Coleman found the end zone. But make no mistake, this game was never close. The Bills fell behind early, and when it came time to air it out, the same old story played out: miscommunication, breakdowns, and missed opportunities. Miami's head coach, Mike McDaniel, didn't even hesitate when Shakir beat his corner for a 38-yard touchdown. He benched the defender on the spot. That's what accountability looks like. Something the Bills organization seems to have lost sight of. And before we dive deeper into what went wrong for Buffalo, take a quick second, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and don't forget to press the bell icon so you never miss the latest breaking news from around the league. Let's move on to the new news. Now back to Buffalo. What we're seeing isn't just a rough patch. It's organizational malpractice. You have a quarterback who can make plays most humans can't even imagine, yet he's forced to play superhero football every Sunday because his weapons simply can't get open. Josh Allen bought time, moved the pocket, scrambled for his life, and still tried to will this team forward. But one man can only do so much. Even when Allen has time to throw, receivers fail to separate. And when the pocket collapses, he's left with no choice but to turn broken plays into highlight reels, a formula that eventually burns out even the great ones. Sure, Allen made his share of mistakes: an interception near the goal line, a costly fumble after a hard-earned first down. But when your offense leans entirely on the quarterback's improvisation, those mistakes are bound to happen. The truth is, Buffalo's offense has become a one-man show. And now, with yet another key injury shaking the roster, the question isn't whether the Bills can win the Super Bowl, it's whether they can even keep their season alive. The nightmare in Buffalo just got worse. Dalton Kincaid, the Bills' most reliable route runner and best separator, went down clutching his hamstring after a deep route late in the first half. He limped off the field, never returned, and the silence on the sideline said it all. The offense already lacked weapons, but losing Kincaid is a gut punch that this team simply can't afford. Before the injury, Kincaid had a crucial drop that could have swung momentum before halftime. One mistake, followed by disaster. The injury was ruled a hamstring issue, and while no official timeline has been announced, anyone who's watched this game long enough knows what that means: at least a week or two on the shelf. And just like that, Buffalo's offensive rhythm, already hanging by a thread, lost its heartbeat. Next week, they face one of their toughest matchups of the season against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Bills will likely enter that game without their most dependable weapon. Meanwhile, the front office still hasn't done a thing to strengthen this offense. No trade, no reinforcements, no spark. Josh Allen is once again being asked to make magic out of thin air. His top targets? Inconsistent. Injured. Or invisible. Keon Coleman hauled in a 40-yard touchdown, sure, but outside of that flash, the wide receiver room offered little more than frustration. There's no rhythm, no timing, no chemistry. Reports after the game only added fuel to the fire. Joe Brady's comments about Keon Coleman raised eyebrows across the league, suggesting the coaching staff might actually know this situation is worse than they're letting on. There's talk of failing Coleman, of forcing him the ball, but what fans see on the field tells a different story: routes run at half speed, minimal effort at the catch point, and an offense that looks lost. And when you zoom out, the frustration turns into disbelief. The Bills traded away a first-round pick that Kansas City used to grab Xavier Worthy, a rookie who's already making an impact for the Chiefs. Meanwhile, Buffalo's own first-round investment still hasn't found his footing. That's not just bad luck. That's poor roster management. This isn't the standard of a Super Bowl contender. It's a team that's losing confidence, losing weapons, and most dangerously, losing direction. The front office continues to insist this roster is good enough. But after watching another flat performance, another injury, and another week of offensive chaos, that statement feels hollow. The reality is clear, this Bills team is built on Josh Allen's shoulders, and right now, those shoulders are carrying far too much. The Buffalo Bills are running out of time, and out of answers. Every week, the same movie plays on repeat. A slow start, an early deficit, and a desperate comeback attempt that never materializes. Against Miami, it was 7-0. Then 13-0. Then 16-0. Before fans could even blink, the game felt over. This wasn't some unstoppable juggernaut they were facing, it was a Dolphins team missing key pieces. Yet Buffalo looked like the one scrambling for identity. Their offense had no rhythm, no deception, and no control. Miami's defense sniffed out every play before it even developed. The Bills couldn't establish the run with James Cook. Not because Cook lacks talent, but because Buffalo's offensive design collapses the moment they fall behind. Every time they trail early, their game plan evaporates. And when Josh Allen is forced into obvious passing situations, defenses know exactly what's coming. That's not championship football. That's desperation. This team has become completely dependent on the game script. If Buffalo doesn't strike first, the odds of winning drop like a rock. You can see it in their body language. When the Bills play from behind, the swagger disappears, the creativity fades, and the offense turns predictable. Yes, injuries have piled up, Taron Johnson, Christian Benford, Matt Milano, Ed Oliver, and now Dalton Kincaid. The defense has been battered and bruised. But this loss wasn't just about injuries. It was about identity. About effort. About execution. Championship teams find a way to overcome adversity. The Bills, right now, are finding ways to fold under it. When you watch other AFC contenders, teams like Baltimore, Kansas City, or even a resurgent New England, they adjust, they adapt, they rise when the moment demands it. Buffalo. They sink deeper into the same mistakes, week after week. This isn't the story fans expected when the season began. It's not the version of Josh Allen anyone imagined leading this offense, forced to do everything, surrounded by instability, and left to shoulder the blame when things unravel. And if this pattern continues, it won't just cost Buffalo another season. It could cost them their window, their shot at glory with a generational quarterback still in his prime. The Buffalo Bills are at a crossroads. They can keep repeating the same old mistakes, or finally admit the truth, something inside this organization needs to change. Because right now, the dream of a Super Bowl in Buffalo feels like it's slipping further away every Sunday. Just when it felt like things couldn't get worse for the Buffalo Bills, they did. The hits keep coming, and not just on the scoreboard. Defensive lineman Landon Jackson went down with a brutal knee injury against the Dolphins. He had to be helped off the field, was later spotted on crutches with a brace, and didn't record a single stat before exiting. That silence on the stat sheet says everything. Another promising player lost before he could even make an impact. The Bills' defensive front, once a strength, now looks like a triage unit. Ed Oliver. Injured reserve. T.J. Sanders. Injured reserve. Michael Hoy. Same story. A.J. Epineza didn't suit up due to a concussion. And now Jackson joins the list. The depth chart that once looked loaded has been reduced to patchwork. Even veterans like Daquan Jones are being forced to shift positions just to plug holes. This isn't just bad luck, it's the price of inaction. The trade deadline came and went, and Brandon Beane stood pat. No additions, no reinforcements, no urgency. The front office watched the roster crumble and still refused to move. For a franchise that claims to be chasing a Super Bowl, that silence was deafening. And now the cracks are starting to show inside the building. After the loss to Miami, head coach Sean McDermott was asked if he still believed his team was built like a championship roster. His answer: "I love these players. I really do." That wasn't conviction. That was damage control. McDermott's tone said everything. Even he knows this roster isn't built to last. You can't fire a coach mid-season when you're still technically alive in the playoff race, but the writing's on the wall. If Buffalo once again falls short in January, ownership will have no choice but to look in the mirror and decide what this franchise really stands for. Because this version of the Buffalo Bills, beaten down, undermanned, and over-reliant on Josh Allen's brilliance, isn't sustainable. The window is closing faster than anyone in Orchard Park wants to admit. Allen deserves more than this. He deserves a roster built to elevate him, not one he has to carry every single week. The defense deserves depth. The locker room deserves direction. And the fans, who've waited decades for a title, deserve a front office that acts like it wants one. So, the question remains, can this team truly win a Super Bowl? After the injuries, the missed opportunities, and another embarrassing loss to a division rival, it's hard to believe they can. Buffalo's season isn't over yet, but their margin for error is gone. The path ahead is brutal, the bodies are piling up, and the confidence is fading. Something has to change, because if it doesn't, this chapter of the Josh Allen era might go down as one of the biggest what-ifs in NFL history.